Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhan Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhan Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Gopi Jana Ballabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Nam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschach Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're hearing of Narada Muni and his travels to find out the personality who had received the greatest blessings from the Lord. And we heard how Narada Muni had come to Satyaloka, the planet of Lord Brahma at the top of the universe. But Lord Brahma did not agree with Narada Muni's judgment. Lord Brahma said, no, come on, look, I'm not a very good devotee. Look at the trouble I've brought on Lord Krishna and the different demigods under my care also. They brought so much trouble to Krishna. But Brahma points out another personality who is more worthy than Lord Brahma. And that was Lord Shiva. And Lord Brahma is describing to Narada Muni some of the very special qualities of Lord Shiva to help Narada Muni to appreciate what a great devotee Lord Shiva is. So Lord Brahma was describing some of the different activities of Lord Shiva, and he was talking about how even Lord Krishna comes to help Lord Shiva sometimes when Lord Shiva's in a little difficulty, because he gives benedictions, he gives blessings to people. We heard how Lord Nrsingadev chastised Lord Brahma for giving benedictions, right? He told him, don't you give benedictions to demons again, because Hiranyakashipu brought so much trouble to the universe. And then he said, he gave the example, he said, just like you feed milk to a serpent, becomes more deadly. And so you give benedictions to demons, creates big trouble for us. But Lord Shiva, sometimes he will give blessings to demons also. And Lord Krishna or the Supreme Lord will come and help Lord Shiva to save him and to protect him. And the example, of course, a very good example of this is Vrikashura. And Vrika was worshipping Lord Shiva, and he would cut flesh off of his body and offer it to Lord Shiva. He wanted to get some blessing from Lord Shiva. And in order to get the blessings of Lord Shiva, he was cutting flesh from his own body. But still, Lord Shiva was not appearing to him. Lord Shiva was not responding to the appeals of this demon, Vrikashura. So Vrikashura decided he would cut off his own head and offer that in the fire to Lord Shiva. So in preparation for cutting off his own head, he first of all took bath. There was a kunda just beside where he was doing this yagya. And he went into the kunda, got all wet, and his hair, long hair, was all dripping wet. His body was all wet. And he came out and he picked up his big knife and he was just going to cut off his head into the sacrificial fire as an offering to Lord Shiva. And at that point, Lord Shiva appeared. Lord Shiva showed compassion on the demon. He thought, he is my devotee, I should satisfy his desire. He wants some blessing, he wants some benediction. I better go before he kills himself. So Lord Shiva appeared to Vrikashura, and then Vrikashura told Lord Shiva what the benediction was that he wanted. Of course, when Shiva heard the benediction he wanted, then Lord Shiva regretted even appearing there because the benediction was so evil and so bad. Anyway, Vrika wanted the blessing that whenever he touched someone on their head would fall off or their head would crack open. In other words, the person would die. So Lord Shiva, what could he do? He'd already given the opportunity to Vrika that he could get some blessing from him. He could not say, oh no, not that, I have to give you something. He did. So anyway, he had to give that blessing to Vrikasura, but then Vrikasura wanted to touch Lord Shiva on the head. So Lord Shiva was in real trouble and he began to run. And Vrika was chasing him. Lord Shiva's running. Vrika said, just wait, I just want to touch your head. I just want to try this blessing out on you. I want to see that it really works. So he went running. They're chasing. And so the Supreme Lord, he understood the situation and he appeared there and he saw Vrikasura chasing after Lord Shiva. And he disguised him, the Lord disguised himself like a Brahmana. And then he came in front of Vrikasura and he inquired from Vrikasura, my dear Vrika, what's wrong? What's happening? Why are you running? Who you chasing? What's the problem? And then Vrika, somehow he was controlled by the Lord and he explained to the Lord that, oh, I want to touch the head of Lord Shiva. He gave me the benediction that whoever's head I touch, their head will fall off. So I wanted to touch the head of Lord Shiva to show this benediction, to test it. And then the Lord, who's disguised as a Brahmana, he says to Vrikasura, oh, Vrikasura, Vrika, my dear Vrika, you should not believe everything Lord Shiva tells you. He's been acting very funny these days. I don't think you should put too much trust in his faith. You don't need to think that, everything he says is true. You just try it yourself. Put your hand on your own head. You will see. And Lord, this Vrikasura was overwhelmed by this situation, and he heard the Lord speaking to him this way, doubting the power of Lord Shiva. And so Vrika put his hand on his own head. And the result was, of course, his own head fell off. And Vrika fell down dead. So this is one example how the Lord comes to help Lord Shiva when he's in danger, when he's in difficulty. And there's another example also, which is given in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it tells how Maya Danva got a blessing from Lord Shiva, because Maya Danva wanted to create a well of nectar so that whenever people died, they could get their life back, or anybody got injured, they would come back to life. They would be recovered. It was a very special well full of nectar. So Lord Shiva arranged with Maya Danva that they could make this well. But then Maya Danva used that well for the benefit of all the demons. And the demons were all fighting against the demigods, of course. There's always this friction between the two, between the demons and the devotees. There's, since time immemorial, there's been this friction, this clash between the demons and the demigods. And so Lord Shiva he fights for the demigods. He's demigod himself, and he fights also for the demigods. But this Maya Danva, with the help of this well, it was benefiting the demons. It wasn't benefiting demigods. So it was a big problem. Lord Shiva was in danger because Lord Shiva is one of the demigods on the side of the demigods. Although it was Lord Shiva's power which arranged for this well, but they were using it for the benefit of the demons. So what to do? And then it happened that the Lord took the form of a calf. And in the form of a calf, he came there and he drank all the water in the well. He drank all the nectar. And by drinking all the nectar, then there's no more problem. Now the demigods can kill the demon. So this was another interesting example of how Lord Krishna helps Lord Shiva in his difficult situations. Of course, Lord Shiva also reciprocates. He also helps the Lord when he's in trouble. Actually, the Lord could always do it himself, but he likes to see Lord Shiva glorified. Just like at the Battle of Kurukshetra. Lord Krishna could have killed all the Kurus himself, but he wants Arjuna to get the credit. If he does everything, what will the devotees do? Lord Krishna wants to show the power, the glory, and the determination of the devotees. He likes to glorify his devotees. The devotees want to glorify the Lord, and the Lord, he likes to glorify the devotees. This is the situation. Competition. Each one side wants to glorify the other. So Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He is not Jnana Vatsala or Karma Vatsala, but he is Bhakta Vatsala. He reciprocates in these loving ways with his pure devotees. Parasurama is another incarnation of the Lord. He is, we know he's one of the Dasa avatars, Parasurama. But Parasurama himself is a great devotee of Lord Shiva. And he worships Lord Shiva to show the power of Lord Shiva, the glory of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva himself, he is a devotee of Sankarshan. And it said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the snakes on the body of Lord Shiva are a manifestation of Lord Sankarshan. So actually Sankarshan is not different from Lord Shiva. It's very puzzling, that Lord Shiva worships Sankarshan, but Sankarshan is not different from Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, he is worshipping Sankarshan. And Lord Sankarshan, of course, from Lord Krishna comes the Lord Balaram, the first expansion. And from Lord Balaram, you get Sankarshan. And from Sankarshan, then the first Chaturvyuha. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, like that. So this way, Sankarshan he is a very powerful expansion of the Lord. And he is serving the Lord in many, many different ways, right? In the form of Sankarshan, he is also glorifying the Lord. And it was Sankarshan who spoke the knowledge of devotional service to the four Kumaras. The Chaturvyuha, the four Kumaras, they got their knowledge from Sankarshan. All the mouths of Sankarshan, they're all reciting the glories of the Supreme Lord. And they have been reciting the glories of the Lord since time immemorial. And they never exhaust, they never get tired, they never repeat. They've got so much to say, to glorify the qualities and the pastimes and the character of the Supreme Lord. So Lord Sankarshan is a very great devotee, and so also is Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva and Sankarshan are actually not different. And Lord Shiva, he also has the power to give devotional service. We know that there's one of the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. One comes from Lord Shiva. And the prominent acharya in that line is Vishnu Swami. So Lord Shiva is usually worshipped by people, but they don't know the real glory of Lord Shiva. And they will worship him to get material blessings. From the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes, Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati aupamedasham. That people worship the demigods to get results which are limited and temporary. So people who do that, they're described as aupamedasaha, people with small intelligence. Their brain is very small. Prabhupada said their brain is like stool because they're so stupid that they're worshipping the devas just to get material blessings. So most people who are devoted to Lord Shiva, they have that in mind. They want to get something, some material blessing from the Lord. That is not the real blessing of Lord Shiva. The actual blessings of Lord Shiva is when he gives devotional service. And that is what Lord Shiva actually wants to give. But when he sees people approach him for material boons, oh yeah, okay, take it. Yeah, take it. Just to get rid of them, just to satisfy their material demands. Sometimes you have to give in to people. Okay, go ahead, go, like that. So Lord Shiva is giving his benedictions to these small-minded people to satisfy their desires. But Lord Shiva's greatest blessing is when he gives bhakti. So we were describing how Lord Shiva is very, very dear to Lord Vishnu because he's the most powerful of Lord Vishnu's expansions. Lord Vishnu has many different incarnations and so on, and Lord Shiva is the most powerful of them. So naturally, he's very, very dear to Lord Vishnu. And that's why Lord Vishnu will never tolerate anybody finding any fault or minimizing the position of Lord Shiva. He's got the support of Lord Vishnu. So Brahma has been glorifying Lord Shiva, and then Brahma is remembering about his own problem. He knew that he'd gone to Braja and he's stolen all the cows and the cowherd boys from Krishna. So that was a great offense on his part, actually. I was saying the Madhvas, they won't admit that that pastime ever took place. They just took that whole pastime out of the scriptures because, you know, he's the Adi Guru in the Sampradaya. They don't like to even think about it that Lord Brahma could have done this. But in our line, we okay, Brahma did this, but you know, he was trying to estimate, he wanted to see the glory of Lord Krishna. And when he actually saw, then it was just inconceivable for him. When Lord Krishna revealed something of his glories, it just blew the brain of Brahma. His brain could not stretch to understand these inconceivable potencies of the Lord. How the Lord could do all of these things. How he could replace all of the cows and all of the cowherd boys. And nobody knew for 1 year. So that was just inconceivably powerful. But it was also inconceivably painful for Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was greatly pained by this pastime because he was separated from his calves and from his devotees for a whole year. The Lord has very special feelings for his devotees. Just as the Lord Vishnu has very special feelings for Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is so devoted. So the same way Lord Krishna, he also has very special feelings for all of his very intimate devotees, particularly the Brijbasis. Not only the gopis, but also the gopas. They're also very special souls, right? It said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krita Punya Punja, that they perform pious activities over many lifetimes in order to take part in those pastimes with Lord Krishna. To be there in the forest, eating lunch with Krishna and all the cows. No ordinary souls have that opportunity to take part in these pastimes unless they have done pious activities over many, many lifetimes. So Lord Krishna saw that Brahma had taken all the cows and cowherd boys away. It was a very offensive act on the part of Lord Brahma. And afterwards, after Lord Krishna had revealed his power to Brahma, then Brahma understood his great offense. And he prayed, Brahma prays in the future that he could take a birth there in Braja. And he said, if I can't take birth in Braja, let me take birth just outside of Braja. That when the people from Braja come outside, let them walk on me. Let me take birth as a blade of grass so that I can get the dust from their feet. So Brahma prayed that somehow he could get the dust from the feet of the Brijbasi people. So Lord Brahma understood that he'd been quite offensive. He had not properly respected these cowherd boys and these cows of Vrindavan. So he feels unworthy to be in Vrindavan. When he came there to see Lord Krishna, he felt unworthy to be there. He thought, I better go out quick. I'm so fallen. I'm not pure enough to be in this holy place. Just like when you go to Vrindavan, it said, especially neophyte devotees, don't stay too long. Just stay a few days and then go. Why? You stay too long, you may become offensive. And if we commit offenses in the Holy Land, then it's very bad for us. So it's a neophyte devotee going to the Holy Land. You go there, don't stay very long, because the longer you stay, the more familiar you become with the place and the more likelihood there is of committing offenses. So you have to be very cautious. And we know in Vrindavan, for example, any offense done in Vrindavan, you get much more severe reactions than for that same offense any other place. And at the same time, any devotional service done in Vrindavan, you get much more benefit by doing devotional service in Vrindavan. But it's very easy to commit offenses. So Lord Brahma, even you're a big demigod like Lord Brahma, he says himself, he didn't want to stay too long in Braja in case he becomes offensive again. Because he'd already done this offense, taking away Krishna's cows and cowherd boys. So he wanted to leave Vrindavan quick. So you have Narada Muni, he wants to go to Kailash. He wants to go to see Lord Shiva. But Lord Brahma tells him, he said, just a minute, he said, I want to tell you, he said that because Lord Shiva has a relationship with Kuvera. Kuvera is the treasurer of the demigods. And Lord Shiva became like his servant. And Lord Shiva actually resides there with Kuvera. And it's Kuvera who resides on Kailash. The Kailash mountain is the residence of Kuvera. And Lord Shiva lives there with Kuvera on the Kailash mountain. But Lord Brahma said, there's another Kailash, which is outside the universe, outside the covering of the universe. You have to go through the layers. You know how there's layers covering the universe, the different elements. He said, you go through this covering and you come to Lord Shiva has his abode there, which is it's his own abode beyond the covering of the material universe. And you can meet Lord Shiva there. You will see the opulence of Lord Shiva there more than you will see in Kailash here in this universe. The opulence in this universe is not much compared to the opulence which is there in his own abode beyond the material universe. So Lord Brahma is directing Narada Muni that you should go there and meet Lord Shiva. You can see him. And you'll see him there with all of his associates. and they're all liberated souls. There's no sorrow. There's no lamentation for them in this place. The nature of the material world here, duk alayam ashasvatam. This is a place of lamentation, a place of misery. But you go beyond that. If we go into the abode of Lord Shiva, there's no lamentation there. There's no sorrow. So this way, Lord Brahma, he's directing Narada Muni that you should go there and meet Lord Shiva to get the association of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, of course, he has many associates there. They're all his devotees. They're there with him. And you can also see him. You can see the glory of Lord Shiva, his wonderful qualities, how he is so indifferent to material pleasure. He doesn't think about any kinds of sense gratification. He's completely detached. Although his consort is Mother Durga, and she controls the whole material energy. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Saktareka Chayeva Yashya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Echanurupamapi Yashya Chachaistate Sa Govindamadi Pursam Amaham Bhajamin. Lord Brahma describes in his Brahma Samhita the position of Mother Durga, that she is the creating, maintaining, and annihilating deity of the mundane world. But she moves like a shadow under the direction of the Supreme Lord. So Lord Brahma says, I offer my obeisances to Govinda. So Mother Durga, she's in charge of the whole material world. But where does Lord Shiva and Mother Durga live? They live under a tree, under a banyan tree. They have their residence there. They could have any kind of opulence they want. It is actually said, one time they built a house. They made a house for themselves. And you know, when you have a new house, you're supposed to do Griha Pravesh, right? So you have to invite the Brahmanas to come and do Griha Pravesh. So they had a big function, they had the new house, it was all gold, it was very opulent. And they brought all the Brahmanas to do the Griha Pravesh. But after the Griha Pravesh, they have to give charity to the Brahmanas. And what they're going to give? They didn't have anything. They don't take some gold. So the Brahmanas, they were taking, that there was no house left. There were so many Brahmanas coming, all getting charity, that they took all the house. The whole house was taken by the Brahmanas. So Lord Shiva thought, you see, no point to build a house again. Let's just stay under the tree. So sometimes it bewilders people that the followers of Lord Shiva, they're very opulent, usually. We see the followers of Lord Shiva, they enjoy opulences, wealth, often power, fame. They get these things. Often we see like Kamsa, King Kamsa, right? He was powerful, he has a king and everything. And Ravan, and Haranyakashi, all these people, they became very powerful by worship of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva himself, he doesn't worry about these things. But his devotees, they like to get. But on the other hand, the worshippers of Lord Vishnu, we're in a different category. The Lord Vishnu himself, Lord Narayan, he's with his consort, the goddess of fortune, Shri, and they live in opulence. They're residing in Dwarka, and they have their palace. They have so much opulence and wealth there. They live in luxury. But the devotees of Lord Narayan, and they are usually poor. The Brahmanas, like Brahmanas, are poor usually. Of course, one reason is they say, well, because Bhrigu Muni kicked Lord Vishnu on the chest. So from that time on, Lakshmi does not bestow her blessings on the Brahmanas. Anyway, it's certainly often true that the followers of Lord Vishnu are like Sudama Brahman, quite poor, living poor, very simple. They live very simply. However, it's explained that while the followers of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, the devotees, the Vaishnavas may be poor, they have their own wealth. They enjoy their own kind of wealth. And they have peace of mind. And they enjoy satisfaction in whatever position, in whatever condition they're in. They're satisfied. They're not greedy for more. They're not anxious to increase their condition of life. They're happy. They accept whatever condition they're in. And we see wonderful examples like Kolaveka Sridhar, how he was living so simply and so poor. And Sudama also, of course, he went to Dwarka. He never asked Krishna for anything. He was not worried about being poor. It didn't bother him. It bothered his wife maybe, but it didn't bother him, right? And so this is the position of the devotees of Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, that they have peace of mind. They're not anxious to enhance their material condition of life. But the followers of Lord Shiva, they're very different from that. They always want more. They're always greedy to improve and to increase their standard of living. And this is their problem. Because of that, they never get peace of mind. And they're easily angry, and they're heavily influenced by the mode of passion and ignorance. So this is the condition of the followers of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva himself, he's peaceful, he's happy, he's satisfied. But his followers often, these people who, the so-called followers, the devotees, they have all their material desires. They're not satisfied. So you can see the difference. Who would you rather be with? Would you rather, you want to be a devotee of Lord Shiva and have all that problem, all this anxiety and attachment to the wealth and always thinking how to increase your material condition? Or do you want to be happy living naturally and simply and depending on God, depending on the will of the Lord? So as devotees, we should want to live in that condition, live happily, live naturally. We say simple living, high thinking. The followers of Lord Shiva, they want complicated living, low thinking. So we try to cultivate the lifestyle of devotees, simple living, high thinking, contemplating the goal of life, understanding our position in this world, and not being anxious for anything, which Anything more than is arranged by the Lord. We accept the plan of the Lord. So this is important for us as devotees. So Lord Shiva is a wonderful devotee. He can live so simply. And at the same time, he is so enlightened. He's so detached from the material world. Unlike the demigods. The demigods, they're always in anxiety. There's so much envy and competition there in the heavenly planets, the different demigods, and they become lusty sometimes after other demigods' wives even. We know Indra sometimes has problems, even Indra, because there's so much opulence, there's so much comfort and luxury in living, and they're not very fully engaged. They're not able to fully engage themselves, and they get into sense gratification and they become degraded. Just look at Kuvera's sons, Nala, Kuvera, and Manigriva, how they became degraded, and even they became associates of Kamsa at one point. They had become so fallen. So the material world, the heavenly planets, doesn't satisfy people's material desires. It just simply gives them more anxiety. And Lord Brahma, he understood this condition of life, the material world. All the different demigods, they're anxious to actually get out of that position. It said in the Kali Yuga, the demigods want to come down here to this place, to the planet Earth, to take birth in the human form of life. Why? Now, usually, of course, demigods, they won't come in the Kali Yuga to this Earth planet. He said they won't even come to pass urine here. But actually, I don't know if demigods, I think they don't have to pass urine, but but they wouldn't come here anyway if they had. But there's an advantage, that specific advantage of life on this planet in the Kali Yuga is that in this very lifetime, you can go back to Godhead. You can get all success, all perfection in the human form of life, and you can go back to Godhead. The demigods, however, they cannot. They have to go up to Lord Brahma's planet. When there's a partial annihilation at the end of Brahma's day, or with the night of Brahma, there's a partial devastation. And that time the lower planets are destroyed, and then the people on the higher planets to go up to the higher planet, because above Swarga Loka, you have Mahaloka, and then Janaloka, and then Tapaloka, and then Satyaloka. So, sometimes it becomes very hot because there's a great fire. With the partial annihilation, there's a great fire, it becomes very hot. It gets so hot, they go up higher to the higher planets in the universe to escape from the heat. So we have the opportunity, however, we can go back in this lifetime, but the demigods, they cannot. And even you're on the higher planet like Janaloka, Mahaloka, even Tapaloka, where the 4 Kumaras live, they cannot go. Even Lord Brahma, you go up to Satyaloka, you have to wait for the end of Brahma's life. You have to wait for the 100 years of Brahma's life to be over before there's a total annihilation. And then at that time, then Lord Brahma may go back to Godhead. And then also the demigods, also those people who have also reached up there to Satyaloka, then they also can go back to Godhead at that time, from that point. But that's a long time to wait. One day of Brahma, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahardyad Brahmano Vidu. right? 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of his one day. And such also is the duration of his one night. So very long time, the life of Brahma, you have to wait. And so it's a great challenge to be there, up there in Satyaloka, all that time, waiting for the time to come, for the Deva's total annihilation, and then you want to go back to Godhead. But we can go immediately back to Godhead from this planet. That is the mercy. That is the mercy of the Sankirtan movement. That simply by chanting the holy name and following this path of Krishna consciousness in this one lifetime, we can go back to God. So that is the very special feature of Kali Yuga. There are other things about Kali Yuga. For example, they say that in the Kali Yuga, if you just think about doing good, you get the benefit. You can get benefit from it. In other ages, you had to actually do good to get benefit. But if you thought bad, you would get reactions for it in other. But in the Kali Yuga, you don't get reactions for thinking bad. But if you actually think about doing good, you get the benefit. So there's some special features about Kali Yuga. It's so rare that people think about doing good for others. So they give you the benediction that if you just think about doing good, you can get you get blessings. So we want to take advantage to go back to Godhead, right? Don't come back. Prabhupada said, make this your last birth. Don't come back. So this is the opportunity given to us by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that in this very life we can get all success. Immediately go back to God. Okay, are there any questions? Yes, I read it here in this. It's mentioned somehow in this Brihad Bhagavatamrita, but it didn't give any details what happened. But it did say that they were becoming associates of Kamsa. They were becoming influenced like that because Kamsa was so powerful. Kamsa was such a powerful personality, that he was controlling. Even the demigods were like being impressed with his power. They want to take advantage of his association. That's what it said.
Actually, the way you're narrating, actually, it is very wonderful and it is very deep. So one question also, Maharaj, I had on Lord Shiva and the different expansions of Lord Shiva in this material universe as Rudras. So if you can little elaborate on that, Maharaj, and also there is Sadashiva, who is
Sadashiva. Yes. Well, as Prabhu said, Rudra is the expansion, comes out from Lord Shiva, and it's Rudra who does the annihilation of the universe at the end of the universe. So Rudra does that work. He's the one to annihilate everything by his dance and anger and dance, and then burns up the universe. That is done by Rudra. And Sada Shiva, that is a Vishnu form, which resides in the spiritual world. So there's a Vaikuntha planet there of Sada Shiva. It said that Advaita Acharya is some form of Sada Shiva and Mahavishnu combined. So Sada Shiva, that's a special form in the spiritual world. Vishnu form of Lord Shiva.
all Maharaj, all these Rudras, they all when this universe is going to be annihilated, or when it is being withdrawn into Mahavishnu, at that time all these Rudras, they go back and merge into Sadashiva, or
they go back into Shiva.
go back.
Yes. they'll go back into Shiva. And Lord Shiva goes to his own abode, Kailash.
Thank you.
In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in the second part, it's describing about Gopkumar. And so it describes when Gopkumar is traveling, that he'd gone into the spiritual world and they were in the Brahma Jyoti, and there they met Lord Shiva. They met Lord Shiva with his followers. They were traveling somewhere, but they met them there. They mentioned there in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can you please tell some pastime with Prabhupada?
Pastimes with Prabhupada. Well, Prabhupada taught us that we should respect Lord Shiva. He said, when we worship Lord Krishna, we offer our left side to the deity. But when you worship Lord Shiva, the right side to the deity. And Prabhupada went with the devotees to the temple and he said, just follow me, do everything I do. And so they went to see the demigod, and Prabhupada stood with his right side and offered obeisances to the deities. And this way Prabhupada was teaching the devotees how we respect the demigods.
Maharaj, some devotees say that for acharyas or for gurus, we should offer straight.
I never heard that anywhere. I don't know. I never heard from anybody. I can ask Jaipataka Maharaj about that, but I never heard it before. I don't know if it's actually, maybe. Anyhow. I know we went one time to a Hindu temple in London with Prabhupada, and they were worshipping Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And Prabhupada said, a devotee of Krishna not only offers his respect to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, but he will offer respect even to a tiny insect like an ant, because they see the Lord in the heart of all living entities. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki. Let's go, right? If this online, is it on YouTube?